Hi, my name is Adam Graber Roth, and I am a Donor Relations Associate for Mennonite Central Committee Great Lakes. But prior to my current position, my wife and I served with MCC in both Egypt and then also in South Africa. And in both places we fell in love with the people, the culture, our MCC colleagues. But in MCC Egypt, we fell in love with the food. Koshery is pretty straightforward to make, but it takes quite a bit of work because there's a lot of different components, and I'll walk through some of those components right now. First, it's has a base of pasta and rice, and then topped with lentils, garnished with garbanzo beans. It has a red sauce, and then it's also topped with fried onions. Okay, I've sliced the onion in like half moons slices. We want to get as much moisture out of these onions as possible, so we'll put them in. We've already prepped a full onion, so this is about an onion and a half, but this is what makes the dish, in my opinion. So we always want a little bit more onion. So get these off to the side. Take some salt. Just a little bit of salt on top really draws out that moisture. And before frying them, we'll actually wring them out to try to get as much moisture out. So we'll set these aside now. Let's work on the lentils. Okay, we have a 1 1/4 cup of lentils. In Egypt, the lentils in the koshery were, I think, probably all black lentils, but we have found the consistency of a combination of red lentils and brown lentils gives us a nicer texture that was more similar to our experience in Egypt. So we'll combine it with 1 1/2 cups of vegetable stock, and then 1 1/2 cups of water, a generous amount of coriander. I'd say about half a teaspoon, and then the same amount of cumin. We'll do 1 teaspoon of salt. We'll give it a stir, pop in a bay leaf, and bring it to a boil. All right, now on to the rice. Make as much rice as you normally do for a meal for your family, but Egyptian rice often has extra little pasta in it. We've gone ahead and browned this pasta just to give it a little bit of color, and then we will add it to the rice and prepare the rice like you normally would. So we will add this to the dried rice and add our liquid and prepare the rice as like you normally would. Okay, now on to our sauce. The sauce for koshery is a basic marinara sauce, minus any of the Italian seasonings and with the addition of coriander and cumin. So we're going to start with just a little bit of half a diced onion. There was a favorite restaurant in Cairo called Tom with Basil. It's Tom is Arabic for garlic, and basil is Arabic for onion. And it was a koshery restaurant, and so there was a lot of garlic and a lot of onion in Egyptian cooking. So we've got our onion going, and now some garlic. It's probably best to use chopped fresh garlic, but in a pinch here we'll use some pre-minced garlic. And I like to use a lot. Once we've sweated the onion a little bit, we'll add some crushed tomatoes that we have canned. Also, while the onion is cooking, we want to add our spices now. So we'll do not quite a teaspoon of both coriander and cumin. And then we'll add the tomatoes. Oh man, it smells like Egypt. We'll bring this to a boil, and then we'll process it with a stick blender, and that will be ready to go. And lastly, the macaroni pasta. They oftentimes in kosher restaurants in Egypt, they will have a mixture of cut spaghetti and little round pasta, and it's kind of hard to find in the States or in North America. So we often just end up using macaroni elbows. So we've got two cups of this. Alright, and now we're going to go through the process of getting the onions prepared to fry. And when you salt your onions, you can actually see how much of this water comes out of the onions. And now, to get even more moisture out, we're going to go to a towel we've laid out here. Spread out a thin layer across the towel. You want to do these in small batches because there's still a lot of moisture in there, and water and hot oil is a bad combination. So we've got our relatively dry onions. And we let those go until they're golden brown, and then we'll pull them and put them on some newspaper to drain some of the oil. That looks actually pretty good right there. The last thing that we need to prepare before we can assemble our kosher dish is, I think it's called Dhaka Sauce. It's a condiment that is on the tables of a kosher restaurant. And it's basically a garlic vinegar sauce. So I have boiling here half a cup of water, some cumin, coriander, and some garlic. And I will just boil it so the flavors come together, and when I take it off the boil, I will add another half cup of white vinegar. And now all the parts of the kosher dish are ready to assemble. So first we start with a base of rice or pasta. Typically I like mine pasta heavy, but the rice with the little pastas in there. Then you add as much pasta as you want. Then top it with a little bit of lentils, your marinara sauce, your red sauce, and then you garnish with garbanzo beans. These were frozen that we thawed. Nice little pinch of your fried onions, and then your Dhaka sauce on top. And as they say in Egypt, Bilhana Washefet.